the Soldano Super Lead Overdrive. One of the most legendary and groundbreaking high gain amp heads. This absolute monster surfaced first of all in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was played by a who's who of rock guitarists from that era. To this day, it remains one of the most legendary and revered high gain metal amp heads. Now, if you want to get your hands on one of these bad boy Super Lead Overdrive heads, be it an original one or one of the newer run ones that Mike Soldano has put out, you're going to be looking at a serious investment of cash. You only need to spend a couple of minutes searching on eBay and Reverb to see the kind of prices these things go for, to raise some eyebrows at the very least. Now, if you happen to be on a more limited budget, well, you're in luck, because the Super Lead Overdrive is one of the most commonly modelled amp heads as well. Pretty much every single digital amp modeler there's been since the technology first came around has featured some variation of the Super Lead Overdrive. Now, the latest iteration of the Soldano SLO in digital modelling form has come courtesy of the mad scientists at Neural DSP. Their Soldano SLO suite has just been released to what appears to be extremely positive reviews. We're going to check it out in a minute. I have never played through this before, so you're going to get my instant reactions to it. Of course, I always wanted to cover this latest Neural DSP plugin for the channel, but I thought actually covering this plugin presents quite an interesting opportunity. Now, I happen to be in the fortunate enough position where in my home studio I have a Line 6 Helix rack up behind me. On the floor to my left I have a Headrush Pedalboard, and I also have the Neural DSP SLO suite running on my DAW. Now, all three pieces of kit claim to offer a faithful and accurate representation of what this amp head sounds like. They're all alike in that regard. Where they're not alike is in how old they are. The Line 6 Helix first appeared around 2015, which makes it, nearly 7 years old now. The Headrush Pedalboard first appeared in 2017, which makes it 4 years old. And the Neural DSP SLO suite has only just come out, bang up to date. So what I thought would be really interesting is to see maybe just how far amp modelling has come or hasn't come in those 7 years. For us to sit down and listen to the amp modelled through the exact same impulse response with the exact same settings on the amp, and then also adding in the exact same overdrive settings as well, which together with some volume leveling I've done across the recordings should give us a really good window into the evolution of amp modelling, or at least when it comes to this amp, how that evolution has affected the sounds that you can now get. So I've set up 3 versions of the exact same preset across all these bits of kit. We're going to be using the impulse response of a Friedman cabinet, which I think goes really well with the thick, dark, dirty sound of an SLO. There's a tiny bit of low cut on the impulse response, just up to 100 Hz to clear up any low-end muddiness, but I've not put any high cut on there at all, because I'm really interested to see how these 3 different versions of this amp handle the sizzle, the top end, the fizz, whether it's harsh or whether it's pleasant sounding. All 3 digitally modelled amp heads have the exact same settings on EQ, overdrive, presence and master volume. What I thought we would do is we would just play a little bit purely just through the amp head and then add in a Tube Screamer overdrive, which I got a feeling a lot of people, that's how they're going to be playing this amp. The settings on the Tube Screamer, once again, exactly the same across the 3 rigs. We've got the level maxed out at 100, gain at 5, tone at 5 as well. Guitar wise, we are using good old faithful here, which is my Schecter C1 SLS, retrofitted with Evertune, fitted with Fishman Fluence classic humbuckers, which I feel are a good match for this amplifier because they're hot but not ridiculously hot. So let's hear just the amp head on the Helix to begin with. And let's add in the overdrive now. Yeah, sounds great. Thick, nasty. So this is the Headrush Pedalboard, no overdrive, just the amp. Add in the overdrive. I feel like there's a lot less gain, but like a lot more warmth to that one over the Helix. I don't know, what do you guys think? And finally, let's check out the Neural DSP SLO suite. There's less gain than the Helix again. Let's turn the overdrive on and see where we're at. That's by far the heaviest sounding. Yeah, that's ridiculously heavy. So, what do you guys think, now you've heard all three? Here are my thoughts. The Neural DSP version sounds the most finished, and by that I mean it sounds the most hi-fi, the most produced, probably the most pleasing to the ear naturally. The Helix edition has a crazy amount of gain, really nice low end, not the most pleasant sizzle and top end out of the three. It's probably my least favourite in terms of those frequencies. The Headrush version probably to me sounds most like an amp, You know, probably in terms of like raw sound, probably has the most genuine kind of reproduction, at least to my ears going through my studio monitors. But I guess the most interesting thing is that all three of them sound different, even though it's the same amp, the same overdrive, the same impulse response, and the exact same settings on all three, on both the pedal and the amp. Now, considering that these are all trying to reproduce the same amp head, that's really interesting. Now, does the sound difference between, for example, the Helix and the Neural DSP sound like 6 or 7 years of progress? I'm not sure. They do sound different, and like I said, the Neural DSP sounds the most produced to me. It sounds the most naturally pleasing to the ear. Now, if I had to pick a favorite for me, and to be honest with you, there isn't a clear winner here, I would probably go with the Headrush version with the overdrive pedal, because it still has a great amount of heaviness and girthiness in the mid-range, but it doesn't have the Helix's fizz on the top end and excess amounts of sizzle that you usually associate with like an artificial sounding digital copy of an amp. But by the same token, the Headrush kind of sounds the most like an amp to me, and certainly feels the most like an amp. However, the Neural DSP version, like say for example I was recording a song and wanted to use an SLO sound, I feel like that would probably be the best bet out of the three, because as I said, it sounds the most polished and the most finished to me. The Helix and the Headrush have a rawness to them, which I guess you would expect because they're trying to give you a reproduction of the amp head. But the Headrush version is just giving me a much more pleasing and kind of much more genuine set of frequencies, I think. Do let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to run this test yourself, in the description of this video is the exact settings I used for the amp and the overdrive pedal. I would be really interested to hear from you guys who do end up having a bash at this yourself and seeing what you hear through your ears. Once again, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy this video or you got something out of it, think about chucking me a subscribe, because it encourages me and it helps me to make more videos like this. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time.